All right, guys, today we're going to talk about characteristics of quadratic functions. And as you know by now, anytime you graph a quadratic, it's a parabola. So we're really talking about different characteristics of parabolas. All right, basic parabola is just like that. All we're going to do with the parabolas that open up and down. They also open left and right, but we're only going to deal today and tomorrow with up and down only. A few things that I need you to know about the parabola are these. Every parabola has a vertex. It's either the bottommost point or the uppermost point if it opens down. The line you see going down through the center, that orangish line, is called the axis of symmetry. And it goes right through the middle of the parabola. So if you fold the parabola over that line, it would match up perfectly. Some parabolas have two x-intercepts. They don't all have x-intercepts, but obviously wherever it crosses the x-axis, every parabola, though, it does have a y-intercept. There's no way a parabola cannot have a y-intercept. So everyone will have one y-intercept. Okay, let's look at two different types of equations for parabolas. This one's actually called vertex form because when you look at the equation, you know where the vertex goes automatically. Let me go through that with you. The vertex is going to be, like we talk about with parentheses and things, it's the opposite of what's inside and exactly what's outside. And again, it is a quadratic because even though that got cut off a little bit, that exponent there's a 2. So anytime you have an x squared, remember, I'm not going to finish that on video, but it's a parabola. So my vertex is -4, -8. So I'm going to go into there, -4, -8, right there. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. Now, because that 3 is positive, that means it's going to open up. If that would have been a -3, it would go down. Also, that 3 is a vertical stretch like we've talked about. So I'm going to go over 1, up 3, over 1, up 3. That's going to be my other 2 points. So my parabola is going to open up. It's going to be fairly skinny because of the 3 has been stretched vertically. Now, what they're going to ask you today, what they're going to ask you for is they're going to ask you for the vertex and the axis. Okay, now the axis of symmetry is always going to go right through the center, right through the middle of that parabola, right through there. I'm trying here. Right through the vertex. That's the big deal. Now, because it's a vertical line, every equation of a vertical line always begins with x equals because it goes through the x-axis. And it also goes through the vertex. Where's the vertex again? What is the x-coordinate? -4. And there's your axis. Now, two things are true. Whatever your x-coordinate is in your vertex is also going to be what your axis of symmetry is, in case there's a little hint for you. Now, one more thing they're going to probably ask you is what the y-intercept is. Okay, now, the y-intercept is wherever it crosses the y-axis. You can't tell this by looking. If I drew it, it wouldn't be perfect. So here's how you find the y-intercept. You always just put 0. You substitute 0 in for x. And the reason you do that is any point on the y-axis is 0 something. 0, 5, 0, 4, 0, 3. So I'm going to put 0 in right there. That would give me 3 times 4 squared minus 8. So I'm just going to work that out. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. Minus 8 is 40, so it actually crossed the y-axis at 40. So it'd be way up there somewhere before it crossed the y-axis. So the 3 things they're probably going to ask you the most for today is the vertex, the axis, and what's the y-intercept. And again, that's called vertex form. All right, there's another form called standard form, which looks like this. That's what you're used to looking at. ax squared plus bx plus c. Couple of things here. If a, it's all about the a. If a is positive, if the number in front of the x squared is positive, it's going to open up like that one does. If it's negative, it's going to open down like that one. Now, what you need to write down on the slide is this right here. The way you find the vertex or the x-coordinate of your vertex is you do -b over 2a. -b over 2a. Now, b is always in front of your x, a is always in front of your x squared, always, always, always. Okay, so -b over 2a, drill that in your brain. -b over 2a, we're going to do that a lot. Okay, let's try one. It says graph this one right here. Now we can't graph it until we know what the vertex is, so to find the vertex, I'm going to do -b over 2a. When I do this, don't forget, that's only the x-coordinate. So if I do -b, first of all, b is already negative. So -8 would be +8. 2 times a is 2. That's going to be 8 over 4, which is 2. Okay, so my vertex is going to be 2 something. Now, here's the only bad part. To find the y-coordinate, which you need, you have to take that 2 we just found and plug it back in your equation. So it's going to look like this. 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 6. You're going to work that out. This first part's 4 times 2, that's 8. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 6. If I work that right there out, that's going to be -2. So there's my vertex, 2, -2. So I'm going 2, -2, down here. Because it's a positive 2 in the front, I know it's going to open up, okay, which is important. My axis, which they're going to ask you every time, is, remember, it's always x equals, and whatever your x coordinate is, again, that's going to be your axis every time. Because there's a 2 in the front here, I'm going to go over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2. Now, one more thing before I graph it, the y-intercept. One great thing about standard form is the y-intercept is always the last number. It's going to be 6, and here's why. Remember how we found the y-intercept a minute ago? We just took 0 and plugged it in. Well, if I plug a 0 in for that x and that x, those are both just turns into 0, which just leaves 6. That's why the y-intercept is 6. So I'm going to go up here to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where it's going to cross my y-axis, which also means it's going to be up 6 right there. So I'm going to draw my parabola again, fairly skinny because of the 2. It's been stretched vertically, makes it skinnier. And there you have it. There's the graph. There's the vertex, the axis, and the y-intercept. We also know the x-intercepts on that one, which is pretty cool. But these are going to be the big 3, the vertex, the axis, and the y-intercept. 2 forms, standard form and vertex form. We're going to get good at both. All right, so hope that's good. We'll work on a lot tomorrow. See you then.